Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Storytime with Uncle Monkey. I am your Uncle Monkey, and today's story is The Wolf and the Seven Kids. There once was an old nanny goat who had 7 kids. She loved them the way a mother loves her children. One day she wanted to go to the woods to gather forage, so she summoned all 7 and said, "Children dear, I want to go out to the forest. Be on your guard against the wolf. If he gets in, he'll eat you hide and hair. The villain often disguises himself, but you'll recognize him at once by his husky voice and his black feet." The kids said, "Mother, dear, we'll pay close attention. You can leave without worrying." Then the old goat bleated and set out, her mind at peace. Before very long, someone knocked at the door to the house and called, "Open up, children dear. Your mother is back and she's brought something with her for each of you." But the little goats heard the husky voice and knew that it was the wolf. "We are not opening," they called. "You're not our mother. She has a high, sweet voice, but your voice is husky. You're the wolf." Then the wolf went to a grocer's and bought a big piece of chalk. He ate it, and it made his voice high and soft. Then he returned, knocked at the door to the house, and called, "Open up, children dear. Your mother is back, and she's brought something with her for each of you." But the wolf had placed his black paw in the window. The children saw this and called, "We are not opening. Our mother doesn't have black feet like you. You're the wolf." Then the wolf ran to a baker's and said, "I've banged my foot. Smear dough on it." And when the baker had smeared his paw, he ran to the miller's and said, "Sprinkle white flour on my paw." The miller thought, "The wolf here wants to trick somebody," and he refused. But the wolf said, "If you don't do it, I will eat you." So the miller got scared and made his paw white. Yes, that's how people are. Now the villain went to the house door for the 3rd time, knocked, and said, "Open up, children. Your dear mother has come from the forest." The goats called, "First, show us your paw so we know that you're our dear mother." Then he placed his paw on the window, and when they saw that it was white, they believed that everything he said was true, and they opened the door. But it was the wolf that came in. They got frightened, and they tried to hide. One of them leaped under the table, one into the bed, the third into the stove, the fourth into the kitchen, the fifth into the closet, the sixth under the wash basin, and the 7th into the case of the wall clock. But the wolf found them all and didn't beat around the bush. He gulped one after the other into his maw. The youngest one, the one in the clock case, was the only one he didn't find. When the wolf had satisfied his appetite, he toddled away, lay down outdoors on the green meadow under a tree, and fell asleep. Not long afterward, the goat came back home from the forest. Alas, the sight that met her eyes! The door to the house was wide open. The table, chairs, and benches were overturned. The wash basin was in pieces. The blanket and pillows were pulled out of the bed. She looked for her children, but they were nowhere to be found. She called them by name, one by one, but nobody answered. Finally, when she came to the youngest, a piping voice called out, "Mother dear, I'm in the clock case." She took the little goat out, and it told her that the wolf had come and had eaten all the others. So you can imagine how she wept over her poor children. Finally, in her sorrow, she went out, and the youngest kid ran along. When she got to the meadow, there was the wolf lying by the tree and snoring so loud that the boughs of the tree were trembling. She observed him from all sides, and saw that something was moving and wriggling in his bloated belly. "Oh, God," she thought, "is it possible that my poor children, whom he gulped down for supper, are still alive?" Then the kid was sent running back home to fetch scissors, needle, and thread. Then she cut open the monster's paunch, and scarcely had she made a cut when one of the kid already popped its head out. And as she kept on cutting, all 6 leaped out, one after another. They were all still alive and hadn't even been injured because in his greed the monster had swallowed them whole. What a joy that was! Then they hugged their dear mother and hopped around like a tailor on his wedding day. But the old goat said, "Now go find big stones with which we'll fill this wicked beast's belly while he's still sleeping." So the 7 little goats quickly dragged over stones and put them in his belly, as many as they could fit in. Then in great haste the old goat sewed his belly shut so skillfully that he didn't notice a thing or even budge. When the wolf had finally slept his fill, he got on his legs. Because the stones in his stomach made him extremely thirsty, he wanted to go to a well and drink. But when he started walking and moving to and fro, the stones in his belly jumped and bumped against one another and rattled. So he cried, "What's rumbling and bumbling around in my tummy? I'll eat 6 baby goats," I said. "Now it feels like boulders instead." And when he reached the fountain, he leaned over the water and tried to drink, but the heavy stones shifted and pulled him in, and he had to drown miserably. When the 7 kids saw that, they came running over shouting loudly, "The wolf is dead! The wolf is dead!" And they danced around the well for joy along with their mother. The end.